Yeah, and also toward the end, what he was saying is, that's why we don't like each other. We've over the since 1492 and since white contact, white people have had the mindset of domination. So all they've done is play into the tribalism. They played
Mm-hmm.
into the tribalism of African people from the beginning. I was telling someone, and I might have said it on the last episode, but I was telling someone in a conversation, I believe, I don't know. But they they want to conquer these, they want to conquer all of these people. And when they show up, they realize that you got two groups of people. One group of people may be stronger than the other, and they want to conquer everybody. So they're going to play into the tribalism, most likely going to align themselves with the weaker group of people. Align yourselves with the weaker group of people, make it that group of people stronger than their opponents. They conquer the stronger group of people, and then the white people turn around to conquer them. We pit you against each other. Now, how does that translate to now? Like what Neely Fuller Jr. is saying. We're already conquered. We're already dependent. And when it comes down to resources, we need resources. So certain communities are poor because that they were designed to be poor, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that's working in the community is working to keep those community poor. And so there's a lack of resources. When you have lack of resources, when you have scarcity, people are going to do what they need to do to survive. Like Dr. Anderson always says, when people are down on their luck and when people are poor, they're either going to rob, borrow, or steal, to be able to make it. And that creates more of the division between people. So that's why you have groups of people not liking other groups of people, and everybody look the same.
Yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson also talks about meritorious manumission often.
Yes.
And
Go
go
into
ahead.
that real quick, just so go into meritorious manumission, just make sure everybody understand what we're talking about.
To simplify, it was a term. It was something that was used to encourage slaves to turn each other in for
Mm-hmm.
planning to escape or planning to do anything that went against the status quo. And it basically said, if you bring us information that we deem valuable in preventing a revolt or an escape attempt or anything like that, you could be granted your freedom. Now, it wasn't always freedom. In some cases, you could be just granted other rewards, but the gold standard was you could be granted freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we got to talk about what that meant. That means that even back then, we were being groomed and conditioned
To
to
work against each other.
work against each other. And we see the same thing, like you were just saying, not just in America, but going all the way back to the Portuguese arriving on African soil and various other places where, even in Egypt, where certain families were backed in their lust for power and overthrowing another family, causing larger turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
causing governments to be overthrown. Like we've seen this again and again. Black. One of the things I love about Dr. Neely Fuller is his realism and pragmatism about where we
I
are
know
right now.
he's straight up with it, and there's no chaser with it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't like each other, and the idea that we at some point all got along in some kumbaya. Like
It's
I
not
don't
true.
know what history book people are reading, but I haven't read that one.
Right, right, right. It's like, and I don't know I'm gonna butcher the quote, but it's like there's no enemy without unless there's an enemy within. So and basically, if if we're strong within, if we're taking care of our stuff, we're strong within. We are a united unit. Outside forces are gonna have a hard time conquering us. But when we're disjointed, we're fighting against each other within, we can easily be conquered from the outside. So
Mm-hmm.
let's keep going.
Period of years, we spent all our time fighting each other for whatever is thrown down that hatch. And Massa up there on the deck is just cracking his sides. Look out! See, it ain't rocket science. Now, what do we do about it? First, the main thing about it, we have to know that this is what's going on. And don't get caught in that trap. They even got us bragging about it, West Coast gangs and all like that. All about doing harm to other black people. It's a part of our culture. When we join a gang, that's what we're really call. Hey, we're not joining no gang to go and fight some white folks over there in the suburbs. We join a gang fighting people over there 3 blocks away. Same boys we was raised up with. But their mama just moved a few blocks because she got put out down here. Not paying the rent because she didn't have no money. She didn't have no money because she didn't have anybody to help her support her. So she had to move down there. That's ain't no difference between him and me, except now he's 3 blocks down the street. But all of a sudden he's a stranger because I very seldom see him. And all he got to do is step on my foot and he got a fight going. Now I got to go get my brothers and my gang and whatnot. See, and the white supremacists say these people don't even know how we do what we do. That's why we are masters of the world.
I mean, it's programming.
Mm-hmm.
It's continuous programming. It goes back to talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what he's breaking. So, to me, and you might, I believe you agree as well. Neely Fuller Jr., Dr. Joy DeGruy, Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Francis Chris Wilson. That information, it goes together. It fits together because I feel like, and there are other scholars, but I feel like they give us more of a view of the full picture. I'm not saying they give the full picture, but I believe they give us more of a view of the full picture. If you can gather all of the information and be able to understand everything that they're saying, this is what happened. This is why it happened. This is how it affected us. This is how it affected us long term. But these are solutions that we can use to reverse this. And, but one of the things he made me think about was I remember my mom used to talk about the early days of gangs and community organizations at the time. And, they got together to protect the community, especially against the violence from white people at the time. So they would get together to protect the community. But, they would always allow those cool white people in, so-called cool white people in. And the cool white people bring drugs in. And, they start with like weed and they start with like stuff that's not considered hard. So maybe weed, or I consider cocaine hard, but they don't. Weed and cocaine and stuff like that. But it starts an addiction, and that addiction isn't helping them achieve their overall goal or the original goal of what they started. And with them bringing this outside thing in, we already have scarcity. We're bringing addiction in, and now you got people really operating not in their right mind, and that's even more logs on the fire to have people looking at each other as enemies. Because now we started as organizations who work together to keep the community safe, but now we look at each other as enemies, and we have to defend the turf that we have because we have the scarcity mentality, and we have to protect what we feel is ours and try to take yours.
Yeah, I like the analogy as well. One of the things I want to add on to it, because a lot of times when people hear gangs, they get this sense of superiority, like, well, I'm not in a gang, so I'm whatever. And the honest truth of it is, gangs is just an easy way to represent the problem, but less than 1% of the community is an active gang member. So most of us are not in gangs, but most of us still engage in this type of activity. Yep. When you look at the way we click up in the cliques that we do click up with, to do harm to other black people or other organizations, maybe not physically, but emotionally or financially or whatever the case might be. When you look at how excited we are and how much we as a community pursue the path of trying to be the only black person in the space or the first black person in a space, and how we look at, like, once we achieve a level of status, how we start to look down on the community in those spaces, those predominantly black spaces. I think all of that shows a level of animosity towards the community that he's speaking about. So, like I said, I don't, for those of us, and I'm only reason I'm saying that is because I've had conversations with people where we were talking about a reading or a lecture that a master teacher made, and they used the gang analogy a lot.